You know that everything has changed, right? Maybe you haven't fully understood it yet, but someone has finally realized you are indispensable. I'm not talking about something superficial or a momentary admiration. I'm talking about that comprehension that only comes when something is deeply felt. And now this person can no longer imagine life without you. You were the turning point. The missing piece, the silence that became unbearable, the absence that started to scream. It doesn't matter how long it took. It doesn't matter how long you waited or even stopped waiting. What matters now is that you are in their mind, heart, and thoughts in a way that cannot be ignored. But I know what you might be thinking. Why now? Why after so much time? Maybe you are wondering if this is real, or just another attempt to fill something that was never your role to solve. And it's okay if these doubts arise, because this isn't about the other person understanding your value. It's about you always valuing yourself, even when no one else seemed to see it. This person knows they were wrong. They know it took too long. And now, faced with this new reality, they stand before you without masks, without excuses. It's up to you to decide what to do with this. You know they are there, standing in front of you, trying to find the right words. Maybe their eyes reveal more than their lips can say. There's a mix of regret and hope, a vulnerability that perhaps you've never seen before. And this makes you think, not just about them, but about you, about what you want, about what you need, about how far it's worth it. She realized what it means to lose you, and now it echoes in her as something inevitable. It's not just missing you, it's the weight of absence that has opened a void larger than she could bear. But now in front of you, the silence that once existed has become a plea. But the plea isn't enough, is it? Because what you deserve has never been just someone realizing what you always were. You deserve actions, choices, commitment, and you know that. And while she speaks, while trying to put into words what she feels, it's impossible to ignore the question growing inside you. What do you want to do with this? Because now it's no longer about her, it's about you, about your peace, your heart, your life. She says she's sorry, she says she wishes she had seen it before, that she wishes she had done things differently, that she was blind to the obvious, lost in her own insecurities, distracted by her own flaws. She says you were always there, always constant, always the strength she didn't even know she needed. And she's right, isn't she? But is that enough? Is hearing this what was missing? Because deep down what's at stake here is not just what she wants or feels, it's what you need. It's whether this new version of her, this person who finally understands, is capable of living up to what you have to offer, if she's willing to move from words to actions. Because you know as well as I do that words can be easy. It's what comes next that really matters. You feel the weight of the choices before you, not because it's easy to leave everything behind or because it's simple to start over, but because now you understand how much you deserve someone who sees your value from the beginning, who doesn't wait for the absence, who doesn't need the impact of losing you to realize that you are the difference. You don't need empty promises. You don't need regret that only serves to alleviate the other's guilt. You need consistency, truth, presence. And while she says all this, while she waits for a response from you, maybe silence is what speaks the most. Because the truth is you are in a place where decisions need to be made from within, with your heart, but also with your head. You know what it means to be you. You know how much you had to deal with the pain of not being seen, of being ignored, of being taken for granted. And you know how difficult it was to overcome that, even when you were still there. Now who you are today is no longer that person who would accept less than you deserve. And that is an important point, because maybe she doesn't know that. Maybe she still thinks she can reclaim the past without understanding that you have already moved to a place where only the future matters. And there's the question. Do you want a future with her? Or does her realization, so late, only serve to remind you of something that has already passed? There is no easy answer, and you don't need to rush to find it. Because in the end, this isn't about her. It never was. It's about you deciding what is worth it in your life now, about what you want and need to feel whole. She has realized that you are indispensable, but have you realized that you never needed that to know your worth? That's the question that really matters. You continue looking at her, and every word spoken seems to carry the weight of something that has been kept hidden for too long. But the truth, the one you feel deep down, is that maybe she is speaking more to ease her own conscience than to really build something new with you. It's almost as if she needs you to say that everything is fine, that the past can be erased, that what was broken can be easily fixed. But you know that things don't work that way. You know what was lost. You know what was left unsaid, what was left unfelt. It's not just about her finally realizing what you mean, but about what you felt throughout the entire time when she didn't see it. Because the hurts left marks. You learn to live with them, to move on, to grow, to get stronger. And now, faced with this request for reconnection, it's impossible not to wonder if it's worth going back to a place you already left. She tries to explain herself, and maybe you even see sincerity in her words. It's not that she's lying, it's that she took too long. And in the delay, something changed. You changed. Not that what she feels now doesn't have value, but are you willing to give up who you have become, to go back to who you were before all this? Inside you, you feel that mix of emotions: longing, anger, hope, fear. It all gets confused, but at the center of it all, one thing stands out: your desire to find peace. Not just in relation to her, but in relation to yourself. Because deep down, what you want most is not to know if she realized your worth. It's to know if she's willing to prove it. Not with words, but with actions. Not with regrets, but with real choices. And perhaps that's where everything is defined. You think about what you faced alone. The days when you carried a burden she didn't even notice. You think about how hard it was to stay strong, how much you had to find strengths you didn't even know you had. And you realize that what you lived through alone, she's only just beginning to understand now. And that gives you an advantage, not over her, but over yourself. Because you know what it is to be strong. You know what it is to rise again. You know what it is to be enough. So now, with her in front of you, the question is not whether she realized how indispensable you are. The question is whether you still want to be indispensable to her. Because wanting to be important to someone who didn't value you before has a cost. An emotional cost. A cost you have paid too dearly in the past. Are you willing to pay it again? And she keeps talking, maybe with tears in her eyes, maybe with an urgency in her voice that tries to make up for lost time. But you no longer listen in the same way. Because what she needs now is no longer more important than what you need. And what you need is clarity, not about her, but about you. You deserve more. You deserve someone who doesn't wait for a moment of loss to see what you mean. You deserve someone who sees your worth in the present, who chooses to be with you before it's too late. You deserve someone who stands by your side on difficult days, not someone who only realizes your importance when the silence becomes deafening. And while she waits for an answer, you realize something crucial. Maybe this realization of hers is necessary, but not to bring you back. Perhaps it's the closure you needed, the final point that was missing. Because sometimes the greatest gift someone can give us is showing us how much we've grown, how we no longer need what we once thought was indispensable. You take a deep breath. The moment now is yours. It doesn't matter what she wants, what she expects. What matters is what you feel, what you know, what you deserve. And the decision is in your hands. You take a deep breath once more. The weight of everything that was said still hangs in the air, but now something inside you seems clearer. Not because the situation is simple, but because you realized what truly matters: your well-being, your truth, your peace. It's no longer about her, about what she finally understood or wants. It's about how this resonates within you. She waits, maybe with anxiety, maybe with hope. But you know that your response is not something that needs to come from a sense of urgency. Because for the first time you are putting yourself first, and that is something no one can take away from you. This decision, whatever it may be, is not a favor to her. It is a commitment to yourself. It's strange how things change. In the past, you might have accepted immediately. Maybe you would have jumped back in, believing the words, ignoring your own feelings to try to make everything work. But now, after everything you have experienced, you are no longer the same person. You understand what it means to love yourself enough not to settle for crumbs or empty promises. And that, more than anything, is what gives you strength. She realized that you are indispensable. But what she might not yet understand is that, for you, being indispensable to someone was never the goal. You want more than that. You want to be valued in the present, without needing an absence to be noticed. You want someone who sees your worth not because they missed you, but because they chose to be with you every day. And honestly, that is something she might not be ready to offer. And there's the point. You can't expect someone to reach your level of emotional awareness just because you are ready. Each person has their time, their processes, their lessons, and maybe for her this realization is just the beginning of a journey that is still far from where you are now. This does not make her a bad person, but it also doesn't mean you need to give up your path to wait for her. You feel a mix of emotions. It's not easy. It never is. But you know you don't have to decide now. Because important decisions, the ones that truly matter, come with time. They come when the heart and mind align, when you feel with every fiber of your being that you are doing what is right for you. Maybe you will choose to give it another chance, maybe not. What matters is that the choice is yours based on what you feel, what you believe, what you know you deserve. Because at the end of the day, only you know your journey, your pains, your achievements, and only you know what truly makes you happy. While she waits, you realize something very important. Your story is not unique. How many people have been in your place? How many have been left aside, ignored, only to be remembered later after they had already moved on? And how many of them accepted to return, believing it would be different, only to realize that nothing had really changed? This reflection brings you a sense of connection with others, because, as personal as this situation is, it is universal. All of us, at some point, have dealt with the desire to be seen, recognized, valued. And all of us have faced the difficult decision of moving on or trying one more time. It is here that you realize the power that exists in sharing your experiences, in talking about what you feel, what you think, what you have lived. Because in doing so, you not only release yourself from the weight of silence, but also inspire others to do the same. And that, more than anything, is what transforms individual stories into something greater. So I want to invite you to do exactly this now. Tell us in the comments, have you experienced something similar? Have you felt like you were only noticed when you stopped being present? How was it for you? What did you learn from that experience? And if you are living this now, how do you feel? How do you think you can deal with it? These stories, these reflections are powerful because they show that deep down, we are all navigating the same waters, facing the same challenges, seeking the same answers. And by sharing what we've experienced, we create a space where no one needs to feel alone. And if this message touched you in some way, if you felt it spoke directly to you, I invite you to leave your like. It's not just a simple gesture. It's a way of saying that this kind of conversation matters, that these reflections make a difference. It's also a way to bring this message to more people who, like you, might need to hear it. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, now is the time to join us. Here we talk about what truly matters, what touches the heart, what makes a difference. It's a space for you, for your stories, for your reflections. So click the subscribe button and activate the bell so you don't miss any content. Remember, your life, your choices, your peace. You deserve all of this. Not because someone finally acknowledged your value, but because you have always had this value within you. And now, more than ever, it's time to honor that. You are in control, and that is what truly matters. Leave in the comments how this message touched you. Let's continue this conversation. I want to hear your voice because it is also indispensable.